What's going on, everybody? I'm Pitts from Bowie TV, Pitts and Push Stock Radio. I am here to discuss the transfer portal. This is Group 1. We have Chris, Elijah, Tyree, and my man Cal. How you doing today? Good. So, before we get started, I just want to get each of your thoughts, just your perspective about the transfer portal as a whole, right? Not just, I know you had your respective groups that you did it on, but as a whole. And when I do this, I'm gonna first start with the football players. I'm gonna start with Cal, and then we're gonna work our way down the line this way.
Me, I feel like the transfer portal took over college football. Well, not even just college football, the NCAA, because so many people are transferring. Money plays a big factor in that too. A lot of coaches, a lot of people are offering these kids money to enter the transfer portal.
Okay. What's your thoughts?
The same thing. I feel like
You gotta speak up a little bit so
I feel like
everybody hear you.
with like transfer portal and NIL deals is gonna help out with like college football, college basketball, and everything else. With the transfer portal, I feel like with the colleges and everything else,
You said you feel like it's gonna help,
it's gonna help. It's gonna help.
and that's what you said, Cal? You think it's gonna help, right? Is that what you said?
Certain extent,
Okay,
certain extent.
okay. So you think it's gonna help to a certain extent. What about you?
I also think it's going to help to a certain extent too, but I think it's good for players. For example, you said something about scholarships. I think if you transfer to another school, you can possibly get a better scholarship, possibly a better position.
Okay,
Position.
Chris?
I can agree with everybody. I think the transfer portal is good and bad at the same time because you don't get the guys that come through freshman year to senior year at the same school too much no more. Everybody want to leave so they can play somewhere. So there's more opportunities for people to play, but then again, it's different from how it used to be.
Right. Do we see this gentleman in the corner in the video feed again? Okay. What are your thoughts in regards just as a whole, before we get to your perspective part in the offensive players, what is your thoughts about the transfer portal as a whole?
I would say also, they also said the transfer portal has its benefits. I would say one of the downgrades of it is for incoming freshmen, the transfer portal kind of doesn't give them a chance to play. There's a lot of seniors, fifth-year seniors that are taking spots for incoming freshmen. So it provides opportunity for other potential sophomores, everything like that. But for freshmen, I feel like it's kind of a disadvantage for them.
Right. And before I get to you, Dad, again, if you can, because just talk a little louder so that the audio can capture it, because I am going to put it will be aired on Comcast and Verizon, so I want to make sure that the viewers and listeners can hear you. Now, what are your thoughts in regards to, as an athlete, just the transfer portal as a whole?
I feel like the transfer portal is just an opportunity for real. I feel like it can go either way depending on the player, to be honest with you. But nowadays, it's all about the money for it. So the transfer portal, that's why it's jumping so much. But the transfer portal is a good thing and a bad thing, but I like it though.
So one thing I want to share in regards to the transfer portal from what I heard. So there's one coach, and I can share his name, Robert Morris University's head coach, Coach Bernard Clark Jr. It was actually a question that, this is a topic that he and I have discussed extensively. And I never saw it from the perspective that he gave it to me. But one thing is that I didn't know, because the transfer portal wasn't around when I was in school. But I didn't realize that once a player enters the transfer portal, your scholarship is rescinded. And it's up to the coach whether or not they want to allow that student to continue the rest of the semester, or that student has to come out of pocket and pay the rest of the semester himself. I didn't even know that was part of the criteria. I honestly thought once you got it or you had it until that semester was over and you do whatever you want to do, but that's from what I found out, that's not the case.
They take that offer away from you. They take that money away as soon as you do it. The compliance office, they take that money away from you.
So in regards to you guys' particular topic with the offensive players, I'll start with you on the end. Give me and then again, don't use the players' names. We were told not to use the actual names, just refer to as the individual player. Give me something in regards to the offensive side that you found unique in your research about one particular player.
So I specifically had the offensive lineman,
Okay.
and one of the players, I won't say his name, like you said, he came in as a 5-star prospect.
Okay.
But after transferring, he had some outside problems, everything, and it was crazy to see how fast his status went down in a matter of 1 year. He went from a 5-star all the time to I think a 2-star and a half.
Right.
So it was just kind of fascinating just to see how quick it can change in the transfer portal. The value's not always going to stay the same.
Cal, you play O-line, right? So just think about that. For him, he said that the player came in as a 5-star athlete, and when he transferred, when he hit the portal, it kind of dropped him to a 2-star athlete. What are some of the things that you think may have dropped his status?
Experience, film, the film that you put on tape. Mainly experience and probably the film, and probably issues with coaches, with different athletes, whether he's a bad team player, stuff like that, falling into the part.
Tyree,
Yeah.
one of the players that you found research on, can you give me position and what you found intriguing?
I had the same thing as Cam on offensive line, and basically, the top player from the transfer portal, he did the same thing. He was a 5-star, and then he had like a 3-star, but he got into some trouble legally and dropped him, and he had to sit out basically, and his grades was bad. So basically, he had to.
So there were contributing factors. So the contributing factors in his situation was off the field and academics.
Yeah.
So those are two things that play a part as well. A lot of times, a lot of coaches don't just look at the film that you give them. They don't just look at what you give them on the film. They actually go and they'll do some research on your background, your personality, your characteristics, what type of student you are, what type of person you are. And those things, I think, play a part, as Kevin said, experience and the level of playing also drops your status. Chris, what was one of the intriguing things you found in your research?
I say I had quarterback, so I think the level of the division you're playing, it drops your status too. I had some guys 4-star, 3-star that would drop down 2 stars because they go to a D2 school or they come from D1 to D2. But at the D2 school, they had career highs and all that big school records, but they still dropped 2 stars. So I thought that was a little weird.
So you said, so if a D1 star goes to a D2, if a D1 player goes to D2, it drops.
That's a good look.
If a D2 player goes to a D1, does it increase?
Yeah. From what I seen from my quarterback.
Right. Yeah. Have you seen? Can you say if there's a trend on? Because I think this year alone there were roughly, I want to say, and it's not, and it's a guesstimate. I want to say it was like 1,400 students that was in the transfer portal this year. And just think about the transfer portal and that number, right? Do you see a trend in the skill position or the position played as one entering a draft, whether it's quarterback, running back, receiver, O-line? Do you see one position being higher than others?
I'm doing my research enough, but in my personal opinion, I feel like O-lineman, because everybody needs O-lineman. You feel what I'm saying? So that's just my opinion. But through our research, there was nobody that like stuck out. You know what I'm saying? But definitely O-lineman. I feel like.
When we talk about the transfer portal, it doesn't just have ramifications on the student, right, or the team. It also has ramifications on the high school students, because now the scholarships that are being given to a transfer no longer is available for that high school athlete who is looking for that opportunity. Do you think that is, what are your thoughts in regards to that? Because now it limits the amount of scholarships for an offensive player who can who was looking for, but now they gotta maybe go to a JUCO or a community college just to try to get their name back out there and transfer up. Chris.
They either gotta work harder so they get their name out there more than the transfers, or know who to talk to, get their name out there. It's skill and using Instagram and TikTok now to get your name, bro. So they gotta do different ways to doing that. So they got transfers now. It's another pool of people that coaches looking at other than high school.
Yeah. That's
Definitely the timing on that, like definitely gotta use your resources. Because coaches, behind closed doors, they always have a favorite of who they want, or any recruits that coming in, they're always gonna have that one. So you gotta be able to have the resources. Definitely have film provided as well too.
I would say film, also resources, because I feel like coaches would take a more trained, more experienced person than a freshman or high schooler. So just research and film.
And before I get to Tyree, he said exactly what Coach said. He said that if it comes down between a player that you gotta figure out to see if they're ready and if they're available and they can handle that college atmosphere versus a player that you already know is already game ready. What are your thoughts?
The same thing as all three of them. Basically, experience, resources, and knowing the coaches and knowing the team, knowing people that's behind the university. That's all you really need.
Yeah. So again, overall, in your research, were the offensive players successful when they transferred?
From my research, I did tight ends, so only one was really successful.
Okay.
One other one was a starter, but
Okay.
the most successful one, he was an All-American at his previous school and his current and the school that he transferred to.
Okay.
And he transferred from Division I AA to a Power 5.
Oh wow. So basically, his level of play, it was consistent, and that he still was dominant in his position across the board. Okay. And Dad, what position would you say, and through research, would be the most successful, or is the most successful? Out of the offensive side.
I say, like I said, offensive tackle. Offensive line. Yeah, O-line. Definitely offensive tackle, though.
Yeah.
For sure. That was good in our research when we looked when we looked for our research and found our research, it was definitely O-line and tackle.
Okay. And so then I'll push it back to you, Chris. What athletes, because I know Cam did tight ends, for yours you did O-line too, you did quarterbacks. Were they successful? Was that what those in the transfer, were they successful?
3 out of my 5 went up to the stars, but 4 out of 5 they played. So it depends on how you want to say successful. Like in their career, they could be successful. They go home, got a job, but they were trying to get to like the league type.
Successful meaning like did their style of play, did it stay the same, or did it elevate, or did it drop?
I see 3 of them they elevated. The other 2 didn't really do nothing. One of them didn't do anything at all. We transferred. The other one did. He was a role player.
And I apologize, I didn't get your position. I know I got 3 O-line and I got quarterbacks and tight ends.
My position was running back.
Okay, so in your research, out of the 5 that you did, what was the success rate?
Also 3 out of 5 of my running backs were successful. 3 of them went to the NFL after their years. One of them stopped playing college, and then one of them also a role player.
Do you think that the transfer portal was successful for them?
For my running backs, yes, I do.
Okay. Well, I thank each of you for joining us. Insightful, especially when we talk about the O-lineman, you're correct. The offensive line is one, if not besides the quarterback, the most important, right? Because you got to be able to protect in order to move the ball and to gain and to score, etc. So I definitely agree with that. that. I thank you guys for joining us. And we will TV. This was fun. So, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. You guys are good. I'll see you in class on Monday, all right?
I told Darren, I said, you know better last year.
1 minute, so make sure y'all can introduce yourselves, so you know who everyone is.
She said she about to walk in the song.
About to walk in. This is after class time, we can't get here on time. We getting started, so.
You said you want to go ahead and go?
Yep. Let me start the recording.
She said she walked
Wait,
upstairs.
what's your name?
Annoying.
Steve.
They open it? Huh?
She opened it. She about to come. She said she walking upstairs.
You want to open it up for your.
Please, come on. Or her grade. Say her grade.
Steve.
Yes.
It's okay.
Hello.
Name also?
Clifton.
Clifton. Sam, Clifton, Steve, and
Ashanti.
Ashanti.
Yes.
My name is Thomas. I have my own social media production with Kids and Sports Talk Radio, but also producer and director for Bowie TV. So this will be aired on Comcast and Verizon once that slice it together. So y'all can like just talk up, like raise the voice a little bit. And I believe Group 2 has, don't tell me, I don't want to tell you.
I'm not.
Group 2 has women's basketball. All right, cool.
And what position did y'all do?
I have point guards.
Point guards? I think I had the power forward.
No, I have small forward.
Just so you know.
Sinners.
I worked on center
We
class.
both did.
Okay.
And I jumped around.
I ain't gonna remember them so good.
That's fine. That's fine. All right.
Because I forgot their names already. I'm just pointing. What's going on, everybody? I am Pitts on Bowie TV. Also with Pitts and Sports Talk Radio here at Bowie State University. Talking about the NCAA transfer portal as hot as it is. So first, what I want to do, I just want to get everybody's opinion on about the transfer portal, right? So I'll start with Clifton. What are your thoughts about the transfer portal?
Me personally, I like it. I'm a transfer student.
Okay.
I'm at the school I transferred from. I play basketball. So
Okay.
I think it helps. I think it gives people opportunity to just, because sometimes when you pick your first college, like athletics wise, you pick your first college, that doesn't always work out. Coaches tell you things,
Right.
things don't happen that way.
Yeah.
You might not connect on the same level you thought you would.
Okay.
It gives people chances to go out there and see if they can find a better destination.
So that's like, so you give us more personable insight
Yeah.
into and perspective into the transfer portal and the pros and the cons that come with it. So that's good to know. And also when we go through it, don't mention the players' names.
Okay.
Just don't mention their names. Go ahead. What are your thoughts in regards overall?
I just think it gives a lot of, it just gives opportunities to people, to athletes who didn't succeed at that first college. It just gives them a second chance to like, maybe get a chance to play in the WNBA or maybe play overseas.
Okay. Steve?
I agree with both of them. I think it helps players get more opportunities, but it also gives coaches opportunities as well to figure out what athletes are very talented and we get to showcase it. It's like it creates like more efficient recruiting.
Okay.
So I think it opens up for like organizations and teams to be able to find out who their players would be.
Okay.
I agree also. I'm a transfer student also. But my first year of college, just like the program, I wasn't too fond of it. So coming back home, it gave me like a lot more opportunities to just do like internships. So I know when it comes to like playing sports, it's a lot easier for people to go to a different school and have a better opportunity, especially like dealing with coaches and other players. So it allows them to just have a better opportunity, gain more exposure, more experience for playing.
I also agree with everybody. As an athlete here at Bowie State, I have, witnessed people transfer to different schools to get a better opportunity or get more of a feel of, to get on the court or on the field or just try to get better with their, at their sport and they succeed. So.
Do you find that the transfer portal could be tricky? Because such as, yourselves, your transfer, of course, was in good standings, right? Where you have some athletes who transfer, and it may not have to do with not getting along. It may just be because they're not as high on the depth chart that they would like, or there may be some characteristics or personality flaws that just isn't clashing. Do you think that those things are highlighted in that process of transfer? Well, and I'll ask you because you two have directly been in that, and especially you for a student athlete. If you can, just take us through the process of what that was like.
So I mean, I get what you're saying, but to put on, like, to add on what you were saying,
Yeah.
like, outside of, like, the sport itself, sometimes it could be, like, schools, like, all college education aren't the same.
Yeah.
So, like, for certain students, all students don't learn the same. So, some schools the school you could be at first, you already not feeling the athletic part. Then on top of that, you already not really feeling the school part. And most people, like myself, use athletics to deal with school. So both of those two that ain't working out, that's a easy reason to transfer, and you kind of know what you're looking for. Because when you transfer, you don't necessarily have to go. We have options now.
Right.
Again, so the first option wasn't the one you thought, so now you can try to make a better option. I mean, I doesn't always have to do with the athletics stuff.
Right, and it's funny, so to piggyback on what he said, so I came to Bowie in 2000, right? I'm not, don't.
You say that.
It was the fastest it was that non-verbal, it was like that. So kind of to what you said, right? And we didn't have a transfer portal, obviously, back then, but for me, athletics drove me to want to do the academics. So when the athletics was no longer there, my academics was no longer there. So it taught me to, once I no longer attended Bowie, it taught me perspective, right? That the opportunities that it did present, and I didn't have a transfer portal, right? So if you can, when you talk about women's basketball, which I think is kind of underrated in the sports industry at this point, way before the Caitlin Clarks and the Angel Reeses and the Cordelias, right? So in regards to the position that you did, what did you feel was the most successful out of the five? Was it a success or in the transfer portal?
It was a success. Most of the athletes that decided to transfer, well, all of them that I actually did research on, they did better once they transferred. Within different situations, they might have been at a D1 school at first and realized that it might be too much of a competition for them to get on the court. So when they transferred maybe to like a JUCO or a D2, they did better and they excelled and they made more points.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, outside of, basketball, the people that I did, that is an issue with, transferring sometimes. That can be an issue. That sometimes when you put yourself in the portal, you have high expectations, and that's fair, but sometimes you gotta be a little realistic. Some people want to go D2, go from D3 to go to D1, but that limited their chances even more to get on the court or on the field.
Right.
I feel about it when I did my research, I found a lot of people go D1 to D1. So a lot of the girls, I feel like it's a better opportunity, maybe it's a different team. Because like they were really good players, but they either didn't get along with the team or they had like a deal with the coach. So they just wanted to get a different perspective of things. So I feel like kind of going to a different school, it kind of shows you like it's different ways to like handle situations. And then in certain moments you'll understand better of what to do in the same situation if you're in it again. So you don't have to transfer. That way you already been through it, so you already got the experience and you already have done it. So it's like now, okay, I can just brush it off and then I can stay here.
And if you can, what position did you do again for women's basketball? Centers, and You did power.
I think so, power forward.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And Steve, what position? And then.
I did center and a two guard.
Okay.
So, but when I did my research on them, they both went to D1 to D1.
Okay.
And I found out that that's pretty, it's pretty, it happens a lot in women's basketball. They go at D1 to D1. So I agree with what they said about like them having that experience. But I think when with the transfers that I did, I think their reasons were like more personal.
Okay.
So because I didn't see anything that would like make them leave when it comes to like getting their chances or opportunities. So I think it could be a mental thing as well.
Right. Some people like to be close to home.
Yeah.
You know, may not.
Or they may not be getting along with everybody on the team. So I think it has something to do with that.
So kind of like what Renee was saying in regards to when we talk about the dynamics between the coach and player, and also understanding what for women's basketball, I think it's about 12, 13, right? So we're talking about different personalities per player with that one coach. So it's the gentleman of them all, but yes, you know, especially if that coach has a particular knack for a personality that they don't like. It's kind of, sometimes can be a little standoffish.
So I did the small forward position. If I like rank each position, I'll probably say the small forward position didn't succeed as much compared to the other positions. I can't really tell you why, but
Yeah, I didn't have small forward like he did, but just off of just playing basketball, I can probably say fit, right? Small forward is tricky. Even, well, not this generation now. Small, almost everybody plays the same position.
Right.
Yeah, so this might be a little better now, but when it's first started, the small forwards wasn't really, at least performing back when they didn't really need small forward. We had power forwards, had guards, had centers. We do 3 guards, 2 centers, 3 guards, 2 big men.
Have you come across in your research where any particular position or any particular player transfer for the intentions or purpose of maybe more NIL money or to try to garner NIL bills? And do you think that's a driving force? Well, more so particularly because it's starting to trickle down to D2. But for you that did the D1s, right? When you did D1 to D1, a lot of times, especially if you can move from D1 to D1, then that means that they come with perks, especially because the NIL started first at the D1 as a pilot, but now it's starting to trickle down to D2.